episode of the Nitty Gritty Talk. I am Nicole Kriegel, an IPE Bikini Pro and trainer and nutritionist at Team Golden Grit, and also your host for today. So we got a good topic for today. We're going to be talking about signs that you are ready for a bikini competition. It's going to be very important to make sure that you are set up and prepared for one before you just dive on in. But before we get into today's topic, I'm just gonna catch you up a little bit of what's going on. So right now I am 2.5 weeks out from my first show here in Florida. So far progress is coming along very good. I'm seeing new lines, new definition each week. I'm officially at the weight that I was when I stepped on stage last year. And last year when I stepped on stage, I was also water depleted and I was really restricting my sodium intake. So really like a true weight, I was probably even a couple pounds heavier than I am now. So the fact that I still have 2.5 weeks to lean up and I'm already past my stage weight from last year, things are looking really good. So really excited about that. It's gonna be a huge weekend because it's just not my show weekend, but it's also Jacob, my husband's birthday, and we have a lot of his family coming down and visiting during that time as well. So it's gonna be very busy, but we're gonna have a lot of things to celebrate, and it's even more of a reason for me to try to win my show. So I'm just gonna do as best as I can. We're just gonna keep things trucking along, honestly, but this is what really inspired me for today's topic, was making sure that you are set up for a successful prep before you just hop into it. Because if you do not plan right, a lot of bad things can happen. It's going to make it a lot harder on yourself, and it can honestly just ruin the whole prep experience and leave a bad taste in your mouth. So we're just going to break it down. First thing I want to talk about is the positives of prep and competing. I don't want to just dive right into all of the negatives. So obviously you see online a lot of the glitz and the glam, and competing honestly is a lot of fun. You get to put on a sparkly bikini, you get your hair done, you get your makeup done, you get to be in heels, and you get to be in literally the best condition of your life. And you really have that just showcase moment. So it's a lot of fun, especially when it comes to show day. But you also got to think of all of the preparation work that you got to do beforehand. It's not going to be as fun and as glitz and glammed on that show day if you're not setting yourself up right. So really the first thing I want to break down is, how is your diet before you start prep? And there's a lot of little things that go into how is your diet. So the first thing is, how many calories are you eating? If you are not eating enough calories before you start your prep, you're gonna make it so much harder on yourself, and you might not even be able to get down to the desired body fat level that you need. So we already know that obviously the goal through prep is to lose body fat. And we already know to lose body fat, you need to eat in a calorie deficit. So you need to eat less calories than what you're already taking in. So that way your body's wanting to burn through that body fat. But if let's say you're eating 1,500 calories and you're maintaining your body weight, and then you decide, hey, I want to do a bikini competition, I'm going to start prep. Well, we're gonna have to reduce your calories lower than 1,500. And that's already a really low start. Now, of course, if you're a really small person, if you're like 5 foot and below, okay, then you kind of gotta adjust things and it might not be as low. But for an average person, or at least for myself, so someone who's 5'8", 1,500 calories would be a very low starting point for me. So we want to make sure that you are fully reversed, or you've gone through a metabolic boosting phase before you start prep. You should be at your true maintenance. And what true maintenance means is that you have gone through that metabolic boost, you've gone through that reverse, and you have got your calories up as high as possible while maintaining your body weight. And at that point, your metabolism is in its optimal state. It's running as high as it can. So then that way, let's say you start at 2,000 calories or you start at 1,800 calories. You have a lot more room over time to bring it down then. Versus if you're already starting low, you don't have as much room to bring it down throughout prep. And it's inevitable, you're gonna hit plateaus when you're in prep, so you're gonna have to dig deeper by cutting calories. So just setting yourself up that way is going to help out a lot. I mean, you can even get even deeper into that and make sure that you're already eating good quality food sources. Because when you are on your prep, you're gonna have to be eating very clean foods. You're gonna have to be eating plenty of protein, you're gonna have to be eating clean carbs, and you're gonna be, well, you don't have to, but you're gonna wanna eat vegetables, okay? You need your micronutrients. You need that good nutrition in your system still. So if you're coming out of a diet where you're eating just absolute shit, you're getting takeout all the time, to switch to a super healthy diet is going to be a shock. And it's going to be a lot harder to stick to. So like personally for me, before I started prep, I was already in the habit of having a big portion of protein in each meal. We really weren't eating out too often. We would eat out, but like the majority of our meals throughout the week would be cooked at home. And that's just helpful because if you can control what you're eating and actually measuring things out, you're going to be able to have a lot more success. Versus if you're going out and buying it from places, you don't really know how much they're giving you. Yeah, they might give you some macros online or their macros on the menu, but it's not always going to be exact. And as time goes on, you're going to want to be, as close as possible. So just making sure that your diet is set up ahead of time is going to help ease into it. And that's just with anything. You don't want to just go cold turkey and flip a switch, even though some people might be able to flip that switch and stick to that hardcore diet for, however long you're prepping. But you also got to think, is this going to be realistic for myself to maintain? Because people that flip that switch and just make a 180 on their diet during prep, those are more likely the people that are not going to have a good reverse diet after the show. They're gonna rebound, they're gonna gain a whole bunch of weight after their show's over, and then at that point you pretty much just did prep for nothing because you just gained all the weight back, but you just spent months doing hard work and it's just useless at that point. So really focusing in on your diet. But another thing too is your workouts. So diet and workouts, they're gonna go hand in hand in prep. Now, this is the one time where you wanna make sure that you are not doing a whole bunch of hard cardio beforehand. Now you might think, okay, well, I train hard, I work out a lot. Isn't that something you want to be a competitor? Yes and no. Yes, you want to have that ability to train hard and be able to withstand a lot of cardio, but at the right time in your seasons. So when you're in off season or when you're not prepping for a show, you want to keep cardio as low as possible, if possibly to a minimum or none at all. Because that's another thing we want to be able to add into the plan when you're on prep to create more of that calorie deficit. And it's kind of the same principle as when we were talking about the calories. You want to have room to bring those calories down. Same thing with cardio. You want to have room to bring that cardio up. The more cardio you do, the more calories you burn, the more calorie deficit you're gonna have. So you can see how those two things play hand in hand to create more of a calorie deficit. That's gonna push you further into prep, That's going to help you come over plateaus, all of that stuff. But if you're starting prep already doing 30 minutes of cardio a day, that means you're gonna have to start at maybe 40 minutes of cardio every single day. And that's your starting point. And if you have 16, 20 weeks to go, you're gonna have to slowly bump that up over time, and that doesn't give you too much room until you're doing over an hour of cardio every single day. And besides that not just being not fun to do, it's also going to be very tough on your body. You're gonna have more of a difficult time recovering. And then just hormonally, it's gonna stress out your body so much more. We don't wanna do more than we have to in prep. So that's why setting yourself up for success before you even start is really gonna help you when you're in prep. So yeah, personally for me, I don't do really any cardio when I'm in off season. I'll do more fun activities that are more physical. So like my husband and I will go on more like long bike rides, or maybe we'll go on more hikes or stuff like that, snorkeling, swimming at the beach. So that's still technically like cardio, but it's not prescribed in my plan where I'm like, okay, today's Tuesday, I gotta be on the Stairmaster for 30 minutes. It's more so just I'm living a healthy, active lifestyle. And of course, when I'm in prep, unfortunately, that kind of slows down because I'm prioritizing all my energy to go to that specific cardio, but it is what it is. But even with all of your diets and all of your workouts aside, let's say those are absolutely perfect for you. The last thing you gotta take in consideration, and this is honestly probably the biggest one, is your mental state. Are you ready to be in a prep? Prep is going to test your mental limits. It's not for the ease of heart. You're gonna have to be prepared to say no to people in certain situations. You might not be able to go out to your Sunday brunches anymore. You might not be able to always go out on a date night. But I mean, there are ways around it. You can always bring your own food to those places. I can't tell you how many times I have snuck food into different restaurants throughout this prep. So it's doable, but you just have to have that mental toughness of, okay, I'm gonna have to buckle down. Yes, I can still go out with my friends, but I'm gonna have to bring my own food and not be tempted to eat anything that they order. And then also just being able to put in the long freaking hours. Like, I'm not gonna kid you, I'm not gonna lie. It is a lot of work and a lot of time and dedication you put in. If you think about just going to the gym for a normal, average, fit person, it's like, oh, it's an hour a day, it's 5 days a week. For some people, that alone is a lot. To do prep, you gotta be prepared to do even more. You still have that hour of weightlifting, but you might have to stick around for another 30 minutes or 40 minutes of cardio. And that's gonna last throughout your whole entire prep. So 16 weeks, 20 weeks, however long you're prepping. It sucks, but it's what gets the results done, and that is what gets you to that level of conditioning. If you think about it, if you want to be just an average fit person, then do the average fit thing. Go to the gym 5 days a week. But if you want to achieve that extreme level of conditioning and do something that the average person is not doing, you got to be able to do more than the average fit person. So that means more time in the gym, harder dieting, being more specific with everything that you do. You have to put in the work to see those results. Now, of course, is this something that's gonna be for the rest of your life? No, you're not gonna be in prep for the rest of your life. But you just gotta be able to stick with it for those months that you are doing it. And like I said, it's hard, but you get the results at the end, and it's well worth it if that's where your priorities are, at least. And kind of what I was touching on before is that it's going to be not just a lot of time in the gym alone, but it's going to be a lot of time out of your year. And it really depends on how much weight do you have to lose. Personally, for me, in my past experiences, I had to lose a lot more body fat than I first initially expected. So on my first competition, I believe I started out at like close to 160 pounds, and I was 5'8". And so I was never like overweight. I was still a healthy weight. I was just a thicker, more muscular person. And so I ended up losing 15 pounds, so I stepped on stage at 145. Was not lean enough at all. Then, my second year competing, I ended up losing an additional 10 pounds past that, so I stepped on stage at 135. And again, I was still not lean enough. And so this year, I am estimating to step on stage around, I did gain muscle, so I'll probably step on stage around 133, but theoretically, if I didn't gain those 3 pounds of muscle over the year, I would step on stage at 130. Which is 30 pounds from my first ever like starting weight on my first competition. If you would have told me on my first competition, hey Nicole, you're gonna have to lose 30 pounds to get truly stage lean, I would have laughed. I would have thought, I don't even have 30 pounds of body fat on me. But I did. So just be prepared that you're gonna be working at this weight loss phase or this prep phase for months and months on end. If you have 30 pounds to lose, I mean, you're easily gonna be doing like a 25 to 30 week prep. I always like to estimate at least 1 pound of weight loss a week, and if you can, throw in a couple extra weeks just in case if you get sick or you hit a plateau or just something comes up or something happens. So like, for example, for my prep this year, I was planning for a little over a 20-week prep, and that's close to like 5 months, or that is 5 months. That's close to a half a year. That is a lot of time that I am spending prepping for one show. If you decide to do multiple shows, okay, then you're at least prepping for multiple shows, but you're still extending that time out that you're in prep then. So you just gotta be prepared to stick with it and just make this a part of your daily process. But with that being said, I know I said a lot of what people can take as almost like negatives or like, hey, this is gonna be the hard shit. There is a lot of great stuff that comes with it too. I mean, the two biggest things that you learn during prep that I greatly appreciate, and one of the biggest reasons why I do prep is, one, you get to learn your body. You will learn so much about yourself, what you're able to withstand, what you're able to push through, but just how your body lives in its most optimal state of health. So you get to know like what foods you digest the best, what foods you need to stay away from because it's not making you feel too great. It's going to teach you how you recover the best, which this season or this prep, I have really focused on recovery. That is like the biggest thing that I have learned this prep. I've learned that if I'm pushing myself to that next level, that I need to take my BCAAs, I need to take my glutamine, I need to do my extra stretching, and I'm even having to do like ice baths and Epsom salt baths as well. Going out and getting massages. Like, I've done a lot of recovery this year because I was slacking off on recovery the first, honestly, probably 4 months of my prep. And out of those 4 months, it all just kind of built up, and eventually I was at a point where getting out of bed, I was sore head to toe, and it was just ungodly uncomfortable, and I just felt shitty. to be totally honest. But once I actually took a step back and was like, okay, I'm not doing everything that I should be doing, and I started to do all of those things, it made a huge difference, and I'm able to now continue on my prep, and I feel great. So that's one thing I learned, and sometimes you don't learn those things until you don't do it or you do something wrong. But another huge thing, and this is what I really started to learn last year during my prep, was confidence. Confidence is so huge when you go into a bikini competition, especially because you are judged on stage on your presentation. And if you look unconfident and you look shy and awkward and you're just kind of like hunched over, you're not going to score well. You need to learn to have confidence in yourself, to roll those shoulders back, smile, just have good posture, and just act like you know you are the best. They want to give person first place that just exudes grace and confidence. And if you would ever look back on pictures of my first competition, you could tell that I did not have any confidence. And in that second one, even though it might have been fake confidence, it at least looked way better. And the reason why this is such a huge thing is because this is a skill that I have learned and crafted and was able to bring throughout my whole daily life, my whole year, not just when I'm stepping on stage. I'm able to have that confidence throughout my whole life now. When I'm just walking into a random coffee shop, I'm able to hold myself better. When I'm meeting someone for the first time, I'm not feeling as awkward. And it's just such a powerful skill to have. And I mean, you can even technically use that with the mindset of being able to push yourself harder and further. Yes, you now know that you can push yourself through a hard cardio session. You know that you can push yourself through a hard workout. But you can use that same thing and apply it to a hard day at work. You know that you can push through it. Or, just things like that. There's so many things that you can learn that you can bring to your day-to-day life as well. And you get to learn how to walk in heels, because trust me, that was something I did not know how to do before. But after sitting there and having to walk back and forth time after time after time, you're gonna get good walking in heels. So when you go out on a date night and feel like dressing up kind of fancy, you're not gonna look good. So big benefit there as well. But that is pretty much everything that I have of how to set yourself up for a successful prep, or just signs in knowing, are you ready for a prep? And I mean, you can even take this on and twist it to just a regular diet as well. A lot of these things apply for that. But I'm going to be going live in the next couple of days on my private Facebook group for you guys to ask any questions about this topic. So make sure you join that group. I will leave that link below. Otherwise, that is everything for today's episode of the Nitty Gritty Talk. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.